Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. I hereby call local government full committee to order. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Representatives Alexander, Burkhart, Carr, Doggett, Hale, Helton Haynes, Holsclaw, Love, Martin, McKenzie, Miller, Moon, Raper, Reedy, Rudd, Shaw, Slater, Stevens, Thompson, Warner, Vice Chairman Wright, Chairman Crawford.
Present.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Today we've got 3 bills on the final calendar and 1 bill on special calendar. Before we jump into our agenda, does any of the members have any announcements or personal orders? Chairman Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have with me today from Giles County an intern / shadow, Miss Dahlia Merchant, sitting over here, and glad to have her. Help me welcome her.
Please stand up. Thank you for being with us today. Next time we'll try to find you a little better shadow, but no, you got a good one. I guess any other announcements or personal orders? Seeing none, we're ready to jump into today's agenda. We will start with item number 1, House Bill 2080. No, I'm sorry. Let me get on the right page here. House Bill 2984 by Representative Freeman. Got a proper motion and second. I do see we have some amendments on the bill. Can you please give us the amendment that you would like to run?
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Thank you, Chairman and committee. After last week's informational exchange, I heard the comments of the committee and wanted to clarify what was already in the bill, but just specifically call out. One of them is, should I give you a filing code first?
Yes, please.
Sorry. Filing code 018384.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Got a proper motion and second on the amendment. Would you like for us to go ahead and place the amendment on the bill since it makes the bill?
Yes, sir. That'd be great. Thank you.
Without objection, we're going to place amendment number 18384 onto House Bill 2984. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and committee. So after our informational exchange last week, I just wanted to make sure that the committee knew that I was working with them and added a couple of clarifying portions to the bill. One of them is specifically calling out, even though it wasn't a power that the body had, that there was no eminent domain authority of this authority, and then also called out that the area could not grow, that it's a set area. And other than that, it's exactly what we discussed last week. And with that, I stand ready to answer your questions.
You heard the explanation from the sponsor. Any questions on his amended bill as it is? Chairman Doggett, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did this amendment, did it add any new voting members to the authority?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Seeing none, I'm going to pass the gavel to Vice Chairman Wright. Representative Warner, you're recognized.
Chairman, I can wait if it'd be your wish, sir.
That'll be fine. Without objection, I'm going to pass the gavel over to Vice Chairman Wright. I have an amendment that I would like to put on the bill. I need my amendment number. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have an amendment to offer.
Untimely. I do have an untimely amendment, sir. Drafting code 018398.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The amendment that's before us is 18398. Do I hear a motion on the amendment? for consideration. Motion is before us. All in favor of considering the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Amendment's before us. Mr. Chairman, do you wish to discuss the amendment?
Yes, sir. I'll tell you that.
Do I hear a motion that? Continue, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My amendment, all it does is it basically takes the same amendment that we just placed on the bill, but changes two different words in there. As you see, it puts a voting member for the ECD commissioner and one for the tourism commissioner. And what my amendment does is take those out and add the lieutenant governor or his designee or speaker of the house or his designee. That's all the amendment does, sir. I'm ready to answer any questions.
Is there discussion on the amendment? Seeing questions been called on the amendment, all in favor of placing the amendment on the bill, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The amendment's carried. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The gavel is back to Chairman Crawford.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Wright. Representative Freeman, you're recognized on your amended bill, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. I stand ready to answer questions.
Any questions for the sponsor? Representative Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, sponsor. Sponsor, there are 143 parcels of land in this East Bank Redevelopment Authority area. Metropolitan Nashville owns 36 non-continuous parcels of land there. Oracle owns 16 non-continuous parcels of land there in the authority area. There are 91 parcels of land that are individually owned. Are these 91 land owners aware of their property that's about to be placed under this authority? Have they been notified?
Representative Freeman.
I've spoken with many property owners that own property there.
Representative Warner.
Thank you.
Any follow-up?
I'm good right now. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the sponsor? Representative Warner.
Well, maybe for you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, sir.
Can we go out of session and ask the comptroller? Let's say he's in the room or seat.
Yes, the comptroller is here to answer any questions if needed. So at this time, I'll ask Comptroller Mumpower to come up, and without objection, we will go out of session to hear from the comptroller. Out of session. Representative Mumpower, you know the drill. Please turn your red light on and give us your name and who you're with, and I'll recognize Representative Warner for his question.
Thank you. Comptroller Jason Mumpower, glad to be here.
Representative Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Comptroller Mumpower. Can you just give us your overall thoughts on this authority? I know we have several of them across the state, but just can you just give us a general briefing of how this thing works? And if I'm not mistaken, you would be a member or an appointee of yours. Would you still be a member?
Mr. Comptroller.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. My official position is to be deferred to the legislature on this matter. I would have to refer to the sponsor or to legal. I believe in the latest version, as it is in this committee, that the comptroller would no longer have a designee on this board. And the sponsor indicates that is correct. The only thing I can say in general is that the state certainly, you hire me to primarily look out for the state's interests. And the state does have a big investment in this project. And so I'm glad that it is moving forward in a way that has some state representation on the board. As a general rule, I find that these type authorities work well and provide consistency over a period of years, which this project is a years and years long project. Other than that, I would say I'm deferred to the legislature.
Representative Warner.
And one just follow up, and this may be a question for legal. I've been made aware that there's currently a lawsuit that's been filed against the city. If this authority were to be put in place, would that lawsuit would it be able to move forward?
Mr. Comptroller.
Thank you. I have no knowledge of such a suit. I just have no knowledge to respond to that.
Legal, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Houston, Legal Services. I'm in the same position as the comptroller. I'm unaware of any case that's been filed.
Representative Warner.
All right, thank you. And one quick follow-up with legal.
Okay.
If there was someone in the future to file a lawsuit, would this authority stop them from being able to file a lawsuit?
Legal.
I can't think of any reason why this authority could not be sued.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions for the comptroller? Chairman Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Comptroller Mumpower. You'd referenced that the state has an interest in this potential authority. Would that give your office the ability to conduct yearly audits on this authority, being that there is some state interest in it?
Audits would certainly be necessary and expected, yes. Yes, it does. Annually. Yes.
Annually, yes, sir. Thank you. And if your office found anything, some discrepancies or things that needed the attention of the legislature, that would be reported back to the legislature to take.
Just as we do with every audit we do now, when we think the issues rise to the level of legislative attention, we certainly would, yes.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Comptroller,
Thank
for
you.
being with us. Before we go back in session, is there any questions for legal while we're out of session? Chairman Rudd.
I'm not sure if this is for legal or who it needs to be addressed. It's concerning what was brought up out of session. It's my understanding, based on news reports, that there is a piece of property that is within the bounds that was approved by Metro Planning, and it's been held up pending this legislation or for some other reason, and that person has filed a lawsuit. Would that plan that was originally approved be overridden and erased by this new board, or how would that affect it since it was already previously passed?
Legal, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Houston, Legal Services. Without knowing a lot more information, would not be prudent for me to weigh in on that.
Chairman Rudd, anything else? Any other questions for legal? Seeing none, we'll go back in session. And I don't have anybody else on the list. Is there any more questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, I guess we're ready to vote on House Bill 2984 as amended. All those in favor of it moving on to calendar and rules, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Item number 2 on today's agenda is House Bill 2080 by Representative Wright. Proper motion, is there a second? There is a second. I do see that we have an amendment. Would you please give us your drafting code?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the second amendment, 17363.
That is correct. Proper motion, is there a second on the amendment? Proper second. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All those in favor of placing amendment number 17363 onto House Bill 2080, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill is now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. This bill has been a long time getting here in more ways than one. House Bill 2080, as amended, was described in a recent subcommittee meeting by Legal Services that this is an expansion of Tennessee Code 25101F5, which lists the prohibition for election or service on some offices, and it named the governor, the General Assembly, the U.S. Senate, U.S. House of Representatives, and county constitutional officers as having some prohibition. This bill will remove the listing of offices and have a prohibition on submitting more than one petition on any one elected office. Also prohibit the local and/or state election commission from accepting more than one petition from a candidate during a single election. Also can only serve one office after the grandfather period takes place, which was the Amendment 17363. Places this bill in effect, an effective date after the next general election. This bill has been a couple of years in the making. It is related to the city of Farragut in Knox County, wherein one person petitioned both as mayor and alderman. This person publicly stated that if elected to two separate positions, they would hold both offices and exercise 2 votes on the 5-vote Farragut Board of Aldermen. This proposed code change in an election process has been reviewed by and tweaked by the coordinator of elections, Mark Goins. As revealed in subcommittee testimony a few weeks ago, the thought of only one petition has been discussed for possibly 75 years, always centering around concerning one person expanding their power or control of that current moment. This bill proposes there be transparency and accountability while eliminating conflict and personal issues. When I turned in my petition to represent District 19, I wanted those people that I would serve to know that I will do the best that I can in this one office here in the State House of Representatives. Now for a little bit of the bill update. The Senate has moved this bill out and is waiting on us. After watching their deliberations for and against, I witnessed, and I'm trying to quote here, "This is the way we've done it for 200 years." That could be, but I would offer not in the way that election process has been taking place for the past 10 or 20 years. Also, it was offered during their hearing that so-and-so Joe is a good person.
Go ahead, Chairman Moon. Out of order, stay on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, fellow member. Just a second, let me see how many pages I have to turn.
Okay.
My comment was going to be on there, that in 7 million citizens in the state of Tennessee, there is someone who can do the work and not be intimidated by persons holding 2 or 3 offices. As previously discussed in this committee, to bring us back up today to refresh our memory, Representative Warner asked about a vice presidential candidate for the United States versus being a candidate for U.S. Senate. The vice president aspirant does not submit a petition. They are selected by party convention and the ticket is elected by delegates. Representative Burkhart asked, when will this be law? That's one of the things that has come to light as we've worked through the discussion of the bill. The amendment, where it used to be would take place upon becoming law, now it does not take effect until November the 6th, 2024.
30 seconds.
Let me turn some more pages. This is a bipartisan bill in other states that I could use for example, and that in the state of Tennessee, we don't have to resign to run. In fact, you can run as many petitions as you want to pick up. The only thing this bill will do will mean that at the end of the day, you turn in one petition and at the end of elections, you will serve one office. And with that explanation, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I stand, excuse me. Thank you for allowing me to present seated, and I am seated for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. I do have several people on the list for questions. Go ahead, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, on the calendar, we're showing an amendment 13665. Was that considered, or we're just doing away with that amendment?
No, that's not being run. He's just running the 17363.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Representative Thompson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of questions. One, for the county, rather the state executive committee members for both the Republican and Democratic Party are also on the ballot. Would they be also in there with the, with other offices? Would that be part of it?
Chairman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me pause this for just a second. I need a discussion here of a previous question with the chairman. The 13665 was attached during committee.
Yeah, that's subcommittee. It was,
So these two amendments are on the bill.
yeah, it was traveling with it. We just had to put the one amendment on, right?
Subcommittee, it's not on the bill.
All right, sorry about the inconvenience. Chairman Wright's going to answer this question, then we'll take up parliamentary procedure.
Could you, Representative Thompson, please refresh my memory of your question?
Okay. Okay, if both the state party executive committee is elected on the ballot by state senatorial districts, both the Republican and the Democratic executive committees, would that be included in this bill? Can someone run for one of these party offices and not be able to run for any other office, or can they run for both?
Chairman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These state party offices are not affected by the bill.
Okay, thank you. I do have another question. Okay, we have a member of this body, of the legislature, who is running for two offices. Would this candidate's candidacy inspired this bill by any chance?
Chairman Wright, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, Representative. This bill was brought a couple of years ago out of the city of Farragut. It was not designed to affect anyone currently campaigning for an elective office. In fact, through the action of the amendment 17363, this does not take effect until after the next general election.
Okay, thank you.
All right, committee, we need to back up here, and there is another drafting code that we need to address. Chairman Reedy, I will recognize you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Make a motion, we take up Amendment 13665.
Second.
Got a proper motion and a second that we take up Amendment 13665 and add it to House Bill 2080. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We have added that amendment to the bill. We're back to the list for discussion from the sponsor, Representative McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the representative for asking the question about the amendment we just added, because that's my I have some questions along that. So the amendment that we just added, 13665, to the sponsor, in looking at it, it looks like it took out some words. So could you briefly lay out what this amendment did as compared to the original House bill?
Chairman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the question. The First Amendment, the 13665, had the half of the equation, which is the local election committee and the state election committee would only accept one ballot submission on any one election day.
Representative McKenzie for follow-up.
Yes, thank you. So I guess what I'm trying to understand that as you gave your example, and I definitely understand that, but I'm trying to figure out whether if somebody has a desire, as my colleague from Shelby County pointed out, that or let's talk about someone from Montgomery County wanting to run for Congress, that's a sitting senator or something like that, or House member. Will this bill, effective November the 6th, prevent him or her from running for both the congressional seat here in Davidson goes up to Montgomery, and also trying to maintain their seat as a hedge, just in case they don't get the congressional seat? They can't do that anymore.
Chairman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that would be correct if the election of the two separate offices was on the same election day.
Thank you.
Next on the list is Chairman Rudd.
Two questions. One to the chair. Since we have the two amendments we voted on, do we need to merge those into one, or are they okay in their present form?
Let me consult with legal. Okay. We can do that if that's what you're requesting, but we don't have to. It'd just be two amendments on the floor.
Okay, would that be favorable to the committee? We've done that on other bills.
Are you making that?
I'll make a
the formal
motion to merge 17363 and 13665 into one bill.
Got a proper second. All those in favor of merging the two amendments into one, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It's merged into one.
The other question I had, Mr. Chairman, is I want to clarify something which I think the sponsor has agreed. Since the effective date has been changed and other definitions have been changed, that if before November 6th and this year, if a person is holding two separate offices, that they were one already in office and one elected this year, that before the effective date of November 6th, that they can remain in office and serve their terms out holding two offices.
Chairman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Rudd. That is correct. Any offices being held prior to November the 6th are grandfathered.
Thank you.
Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is to the sponsor, and I was trying to follow along. But initially, did you state that you were bringing this because of what was going on in your district?
Chairman Wright, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Knox County is composed of 7 legislators, and we sort of call ourselves a legislative delegation, and it was an issue occurring in Knox County.
Representative Love.
All right, so initially it was just to deal with Knox County, but now it's going to be statewide. Is that correct?
Chairman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, it will be statewide, and I have a rather lengthy list of people's concerns with what's going on right now that I had in my notes to read in support of the bill, but we're maybe waltzing around that.
Follow up, Chairman
Yes,
Love.
thank you.
Representative Love.
Found one, Mr. Chairman. So just so I'm clear, local elected officials who may be serving in this body now, are they going to be included in this? And if not, why?
Chairman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you're serving now or serving November the 6th, you will continue to serve the term that you were elected to.
And I apologize, Mr. Chairman, but I just want to get clarity if I
Representative
can.
Love.
But then after that, are you saying after November the 6th, after this bill comes into law, if there's a sitting state representative or a state senator who is currently serving as a local elected official, because I know that we had, for example, a colleague of ours in Nashville, Jason Potts, was finishing his term as a Metro Council person, but was also a sitting state representative. And that's happened many times here. Are you saying that after November the 6th, someone would not be able to seek and hold both offices?
Chairman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you are elected and serving on November the 5th, you will continue those terms out. If you are elected after November the 6th, ongoing, you will only be able to pick up one petition. The state will only accept one, the election commissions will only accept one petition, and you will only serve in one elected office.
Next on the list is Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I think I understand it, but let's go through it once again, giving an example. As a sitting state representative, let's say after November 6, 2024, there is a countywide election in my county or anybody's county for that matter. And I decide I want to pick a petition up for a clerk position. At the same time, I'm picking up a petition for running for re-election as a state representative. That would be prohibited.
Chairman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That is correct. On any one election day, you can have one petition entered and one petition picked up or approved to be on that ballot.
Representative Miller.
But Mr. Chairman, Chairman Wright, I could accept the fact that if you were to pick up both petitions and you were elected to both positions, that you would automatically have to give up one of those positions. But to prevent an individual from having to run in both positions, I would say you shouldn't be able to serve in both positions, but to restrict and prohibit an individual from filing petitions in two different, I guess, races. You know, I just think that that's counterproductive and it's probably, you know, have constitutional issues. or should be
Representative Stevens, you're recognized.
dependent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two questions. The first one might be splitting hairs somewhat, but it says in the bill that individuals holding more than one office on the effective date of this act may continue holding such offices. What if someone gets elected to a city council on election day, which would be November 5th, but they don't get sworn in until December 1st? They're technically not holding office until they're sworn in and their term starts.
Chairman Wright.
Technically, though, they were elected.
You're recognized.
Well, I don't want to quibble with you, but I don't think they're holding office until their term starts. And so we might want to reword that a little bit to make it clear what our intent is.
Okay. Let me jump back to Representative Miller. I didn't realize you weren't done.
I am.
Okay. Next on the list is Representative Martin. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll come back to you.
I'm going to pass because I wanted to ask the previous question.
Back to you, Mr. Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And what if someone runs for a county office like property assessor or county commission where they have a May primary and an August general election? And then they decide after the qualifying deadline for the county office, if they're going to run for a state legislative seat, the primary would be in August and the general election in November. Could they run for both of those offices at the same time since they're technically not on the same ballot?
Chairman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thanks for the question, because I think what has happened is you are on different election days. So on any one particular election day, you can only submit one petition and only one petition be received. But at subsequent election days, you could petition. I hate to go back to the subcommittee meeting, but my good friend, Representative Miller brought that point up. You can pick up as many petitions on any one day as you want, but you can only turn one in. A different election day, you can still turn in a petition.
You recognize.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that in case somebody's serving in a county office and decides to run for a state office in the same year, but it would be a separate date. What can we do to fix my first question about the language about the effective date when the person holds the office?
Chairman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I stated there a moment ago, the person technically is elected, but if we have a more technical question than that, I'd have to ask for legal to give us an opinion.
Okay. Without objection, we'll go out of session to hear from legal. Legal, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Houston, Legal Services. So it appears that the sponsor's intent is that for anyone elected on election day, this would not apply to them. So it would be our suggestion to change when it says individuals holding more than one office on the effective date of this act to say individuals elected to more than one office on the effective date of this act would accurately reflect the way that the sponsor has described the bill.
Representative Stevens, do you have a question for legal?
Is that a motion that we can make here today to correct that since it's very technical, or should that be presented later? I don't want to slow the bill down.
Let's go back into session. We're back in session. I guess you could offer that as an amendment, but all amendments have to be wrote down. And, but you know, if you want to do that, you can. Has to be submitted in writing.
Okay, well, I'll file that before we vote on it on the House floor.
Can it be
Okay.
amended? Can it be amended that in calendar?
It could be, or it could be amended on the House floor, I think. Okay.
I did that today.
Next on the list is Representative Martin.
I move the previous question.
Previous question's been called. We have 4 hands objection. We'll be voting on objection. All those in favor of the objection, say aye. Opposed, no. No. We're ready to vote on the question. All those in favor of House Bill 2080 as amended, moving on to calendar and rules, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Business on the calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee.
Next on today's agenda is this will be our addendum calendar, and we have one bill here. This is House Bill 3004 by Chairman Vaughn. Chairman Vaughn, do you have any amendments, sir? Okay. You're recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, sir. As we spoke last week here in front of the committee, I told you I'd be bringing you forward the private act that details the agreements between how the reallocation of the Memphis Shelby County Convention Visitors Bureau hotel motel, or how Shelby County's hotel motel tax would be redistributed. This private act sets that forward, sir. And as we were last week, all the parties are in agreement and are requesting this action.
Chairman will take privilege at this time. I just would like the committee to know that everybody that's been involved with this process pretty much has been to my office last week, and I'm excited to see what you guys can accomplish by getting this passed. But I just wanted to thank you for your hard work and your diligence of bringing everybody to the table and addressing everybody's needs and wants. I'm sure not everybody's happy, but it's nice to be able to pass a bill where everybody somewhat agrees, so. Any questions for the sponsor? Question has been called on the bill. We're ready to vote on House Bill 3004. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr.
That concludes our final calendar and our addendum calendar. We'll now take up our special calendar. We have one bill on the special calendar. It's House Bill 2140 by Representative Butler. I've got a proper motion in second. I do see that we have some amendments. Can you please give us your drafting code?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Amendment number 13919.
That is correct. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, I need a second. Got a proper second. Without objection, we're ready to vote on amendment 13919 going on to House Bill 2140. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. You're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment rewrites the bill and provides some local control related to methadone clinics and where they are located in areas that are unzoned or unincorporated. And with that, I'll renew my motion and stand for questions.
We do have a speaker today. Any questions for the sponsor before we go out of session? Seeing none, we'll go out of session and we'll hear from Mr. John Gleason. Mr. Gleason, please take a seat, turn your red light on, give us your name, who you're with, and you will have 3 minutes, sir.
John Gleason, Freeman Recovery Center. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. I want to start off by saying that we understand the concerns that the sponsor has raised. If one of these clinics wanted to open here in Nashville, zoning would dictate where that clinic would be located. And so he just wants to give that ability to counties that don't have zoning in their rural areas. Unfortunately, this bill tries to accomplish that end goal in a way that's going to end up hurting our rural counties more than it helps them. We all support local control. However, when the General Assembly is considering an issue of local control, the legislature has to balance that desire alongside any potential unintended consequences that such an action could produce. And unfortunately, this bill, even as amended, has a few unintended consequences. First, the bill, even as amended, still violates the Americans with Disabilities Act by requiring opioid use disorder treatment centers to go before a county commission and receive their approval. Zoning is a permissible regulation because it applies to all businesses equally and doesn't single out any particular business based on the service it provides. On the other hand, requiring opioid use disorder treatment centers to go before a county commission and take additional steps that other medical facilities are not required to take amounts to discrimination under the ADA. By not applying this requirement on, say, an outpatient surgical center or an outpatient physical therapy facility, the bill discriminates against protected opioid use disorder treatment centers. If a county commission then went the step further and did actually deny a treatment center under this bill, that would open up that local government to legal liability from an action from the Department of Justice. Since the DOJ has a documented history of enforcing the ADA in Tennessee, such a lawsuit is inevitable. For example, just last year, the DOJ sued Cumberland County for a policy that prohibited the use of opioid withdrawal medication by employees in its sheriff's department. Placing our rural counties under this type of legal liability subjects them to court costs and attorney's fees that ultimately get passed on to taxpayers. Finally, every treatment center denied under this bill represents another portion of the state that does not have access to life-saving treatment. Tennessee ranks #2 in the country in overdose deaths, and we should be doing everything in our power to expand access to treatment to help that statistic rather than hurt it. People are dying in this state, and we have the ability to prevent it. We are committed to working with the General Assembly to find the proper place for treatment centers within our communities. Unfortunately, this bill at this time is just not the right vehicle to do so. I'm happy to answer any questions the committee may have.
Any questions for our speaker today? Seeing none, thank you for being with us today. Without objection, we'll go back in session. And any questions for the sponsor? You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, first of all, I disagree with most of what he says. This legislation does not prevent these methadone clinics from going in rural areas. It simply allows the local governing body to have say on where they go in those counties. Secondly, the Department of Mental Health Services, which has oversight over these particular entities, already requires in their licensing process through the CON process to have approval from a local governing body, which would typically be a certificate of occupancy or something like that. Unfortunately, most of these counties or unincorporated communities do not have building codes departments. So it's almost impossible for them to get what they're asking for in the CON requirements because they don't exist in most cases. So this legislation is simply saying, let's do it on the front end so that we don't have a entity come in and spend all those resources and time and get to the end of the process and have a problem. This simply just says, hey, we want you to get that permission on where you can put it up front. It doesn't say that it will prevent it. It simply says, get local approval on where you're going to put it. Let the locals have a say on where you put it in that community. That's simply all it does. And with that, I stand for questions. Renew my motion.
Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Chairman, if we could ask legal a question based on what Representative said and what our presenter actually said, because it becomes what does the bill actually says in reference to the legalization of it? If in fact you're not preventing a clinic from opening in the community, but you just want to have input of where you put it.
Without objection, we'll go out of session. I'll recognize legal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Houston, Legal Services. So when in the bill in subdivision B2, it requires in approving a person or entity in accordance with subdivision B1, the local governing body shall comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Does that answer your question, Mr.
So they would
Miller?
have to follow with the federal guidelines as far as the placement of the facility.
Representative Miller.
Oh, okay. Again, the bill simply says this, is that we're not telling you can't put a clinic here, but we only want to have input into exactly where you put it within the boundaries of its community.
All right. Without objection, we'll go back in session. Any other questions? Chairman Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sponsor, is there a difference between what you're referencing in your bill as a methadone clinic and a drug rehabilitation center?
Representative Butler.
Well, the medically assisted treatments provide several different types of medications. Methadone is one of those. And so there's all types of rehabilitation out there. This one uses a drug, so to speak, to help treat somebody.
Chairman Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what you're referencing in your bill, is it referencing inpatient facilities where someone would go and reside and receive drug rehabilitation, or is this more of you come in for an office visit and you leave type?
Representative Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is something you come in, you get treatment, and you leave. You typically, the way methadone clinic works is you get that, come in to receive that dosage and that treatment on a daily basis.
Chairman Doggett.
And can normal practicing physicians do this now out of their office and not just be solely focused on this one aspect of healthcare? They can also do other things.
Representative Butler.
I don't know for sure. I do know there are lots of community health centers that provide other medically assisted treatments, but not methadone specifically.
Thank you.
Guys, we got about 5 minutes, so please make your questions precise. Next on the list is Chairman Carr. Question is being called on the bill. That's pretty precise. We're ready to vote on House Bill 2140, moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. No. The ayes have it. Moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, committee.
Got a few more things here, guys. That concludes our special calendar today. Before we close, does any of the members have any announcements or personal orders? Hang on, Representative Chairman Carr, before you leave. I want to specifically thank you and Representative Holtzclaw and Representative Thompson for serving on this committee. We've been together a long time. And you guys have done an absolutely wonderful job and appreciate your dedication. And just so you know, you all will be missed for sure. So you're on. Chairman Moon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move we stand adjourned at the call of the chair.
Without objection, we will stand adjourned to the call of the chair.